Hey guys, welcome back. The title of the video is going to be, We Live in an Isolated, Lonely World Only Because We Decided to. Now, I had two experiences in the last 24 hours where I decided to make this video, and I'll get into those. And the last part to this video is going to be my thoughts on where maybe we have some hope to where we can maybe mitigate the isolation and the loneliness. So I'll get started. Again, this is more of just some stories, thoughts, etc., etc. So last night, I had our first Little League baseball game for my son this year. Now this year, he started in machine pitch baseball. Now, I've never played baseball before, so this was all new to me. So last night, it was pretty exciting, and I had a blast with this baseball game last night. And it was probably one of the most proudest moments I've ever had as a parent, okay? Seeing my son go up to home plate and hit the ball at a 40-mile-an-hour pitch 3 or 4 times, by the way, which I was super excited about. It was pretty cool and remarkable, and I was so proud of him. And it's just an experience that if you ever become a parent, I hope you get to experience. Your children playing sports, whether it's a girl or boy, whatever kind of sport, doesn't matter. And last night was just gorgeous. It was sunny out, a little bit of haze, a little bit of breeze, but it was just nice out, and everyone was having a blast. You know, everyone was cheering on all the kids. Every kid who went up there, everyone was cheering them on, giving them encouragement on both sides. You know, our team happened to win, which was pretty cool. But the other side had some great innings as well. They maxed out one of the innings with 5 runs, and so did we. But we came out on top. But both sides were cheering each other on. And even the other team knew my son was on there, and they were cheering him on, which I thought was really cool. And, you know, all the parents outside of the game, they were just rooting on all the kids, high-fiving. It was a great night. Okay. So that was last night. And then this morning, I take my kid he had a doctor's appointment this morning. And then I got him to school on time, dropped him off, normal routine. And then on my way home, I'm always listening to YouTube. I'm a YouTube guru, connoisseur, consumer at the end of the day. I love YouTube. I'm always listening to other content creators, especially small ones, because I'm trying to get ideas too at the end of the day. Like, you know, sometimes you'll catch a video and you'll be like, oh, I like that idea. I'll talk about this in that way. Well, I've got a YouTuber that I'm subscribed to. His name is Dev Campbell. And he released a video this morning that is kind of out of his normal wheelhouse. His channel is more about being single and the struggles of online dating, modern dating today. And he's a 38-year-old man struggling with that, which I'm sure a lot of other males are struggling with that as well. But this video was different. Okay, this video made an impact on me this morning. I was listening to the video while I'm driving home, and I start crying hearing about this video. He explained that he had stumbled on an old elementary school friend of his in a grocery store. Okay. And this friend of his had basically lost it in his life. He had looked like he had been living on the streets, you know, had all sorts of problems, so on and so forth. Now, he wasn't judging the man. He was just sad. You know, Dev was sad about his friend that he hadn't seen in years and had fallen to the wayside in society. And Dev is from Seattle, Washington, which is a city where there's a lot of wealth disparity, and they have a lot of problems with homelessness. You know, and I'm sure that you've known this throughout, you know, the United States. Many major cities have this problem. Even small cities like my own city in Kalamazoo, we have these problems as well. And I was sad about it, you know. And the biggest reason why it was such an impactful video was he had gotten emotional about how this was somebody's son at one point. This was somebody's brother at one point, so on and so forth. And the fact that we let people, go to the wayside and not think anything of it these days is what he was emphasizing was the problem. And he was super upset about it. And so was I. I was upset, and, it was hard to even think about talking about it in this video. But I got to thinking about that problem that he mentioned, and I thought about it some more this morning. And after last night, I came to some interesting conclusions on maybe where we've gone wrong with society. Now, I'm a new parent, so I'm learning this as I go, and what being a parent is all about. And it's really all about supporting your children through their formative years, through elementary school up through, 12th grade, right? Up until the point where they graduate. And then, right, what do we do in society? We graduate our kids and say, hey, go to college or go get a job, right? And then maybe we say, oh, learn investing and maybe get into politics and just be an adult. Be an adult and go do your thing, right? Now, some parents are different. They're probably more supportive in general, but, I think that the old ways of doing things where it's like, pull your bootstraps up and go out and get a job and so on and so forth. And then it's like you kind of like aren't involved even in your kids' lives as far as like encouraging them to be successful at something, maybe that you might when it comes to a job. But the thing that confuses me is, why do we stop when they're 18 with organized sports or organized activities? Why do we stop there? It's a question we should ask ourselves. Why don't we have, adult organized sports that parents cheer their children with? I know there are some pockets of organized sports for adults here and there, but, the last time that my parents saw me perform in an organized fashion was in marching band in when I was 21 years old. That was the last time they ever saw me perform in an organized fashion. Now, that's not any fault of their own. I stopped doing organized sports because it's not emphasized to do so as an adult. What's emphasized to do so is go out and get a job and be successful and hustle and all that jazz. That's the way our world is now. Go get 2 jobs, go get 3 jobs, especially nowadays when it comes to inflation and everything else, So maybe we should change our culture in that, hey, let's keep going. Why don't we keep using our public facilities, all of our soccer fields and all of our baseball fields, football fields? These are public properties for the most part. Why don't we keep using those facilities for adult play and have parents watch their children up to they're 30 years old or 35 or 40, or even our kids watch us play those type of games, right? To where we all get together in the community and support each other and root each other on and say, good job, XYZ, This is something we should ponder. What if we could have a concept like local stars, right? That's the league it is. Maybe it's a league of baseball teams, football teams, basketball teams, soccer teams, volleyball teams. It's this league of just local people and teams that play each other on Saturdays and Sundays instead of us watching collegiate sports or pro sports, which is very corporate, by the way. It's a very corporate thing. And, none of us have children that are in those sports. Maybe a few select parents do, but it doesn't bring the community together, these type of sports, Like, why don't we just go and spend our time and our money on local tickets to where we could support maybe the fast food players versus the roofer players, so on and so forth, right? And the reason I'm saying that is that what if that young man, that Dev's friend, what if he had continued sports? Maybe he was involved in sports. I don't know. I don't know the backstory. But what if he was involved in sports or activities, organized activities, where he had a support system throughout his adulthood years? Maybe he wouldn't have fallen off the wagon because maybe he would have met someone at one of these games or had a conversation or had, dinner afterwards, a gathering or the barbecue that happens after one of these games to where it changes his life. right? And he doesn't become a part of the streets. You see what I'm saying, guys? And, maybe the ticket sales for these organized activities go towards the players, the adult players, rather than all the ticket sales that go to the Major League Baseball or the NFL players or NBA players, because that's where the concentration of wealth goes, right? We support the corporate community, but we forget about our local communities and the people who live here. Again, I would love to be a part of my son playing baseball when he's 25, 30 years old. Maybe he still wants to play. I don't know. These are things that we should be pondering as a community rather than like the whole corporate culture we're stuck in, where we keep supporting the same old song and dance. I'm all for like professional sports and collegiate sports. They're great. But I think we forget about our local communities. I mean, what I experienced last night was remarkable. And I hope to experience again and again and again. My son's got like 10 or 12 more games. But this happens, and not a lot of people are part of these communities anymore because they're not having children anymore. What's gonna happen then? This loneliness epidemic, right? Where people are lonely, and it's just going to continue and get worse if we don't do something about that and change our behavior and our culture. So that's my proposal, my pitch to everyone out there in YouTube land and every American or even every Western culture out there, is we need to change our philosophies on moving forward on our communities. Now, I know there's some great areas in our country, like, for example, the Midwest. We have tons of baseball, football, soccer fields. And maybe that's the problem is in these inner cities like Seattle, San Francisco, New York, is you guys don't have enough of this. So Dev Campbell, if you're watching this video, maybe that's the solution, is you have to move to an area that actually values these sort of things. We do enjoy having low cost of living in these areas because we don't have these big tech type of salaries out in these areas. We have just normal everyday living because we cherish the community factor when it comes to our children and playing baseball and basketball and whatever else. So that's what I think needs to change in general about our society, especially in these big inner cities where the wealth gap is huge, where everyone's just hustling, hustle culture, when we should be spending the time on the weekends supporting not only children, but adults as well. It's a different world now that we live in. It's not the same world. Why can't we change the culture where we're just, supporting each other with whatever that may be? Maybe it's science experiments that adults want to show off. Maybe it's Lego building that adults want to show off. I know there's like little Lego competitions here and there, but you guys get the point, is we need to change our behavior as adults in this world. If we want to make it a better world, a more supportive world for the individuals out there who have just, not felt supported and felt like they have no hope left. And that's what we need to do, is provide hope for people to be celebrated in this world. So anyways, those are my thoughts. It's my stories for the last 24 hours. I was kind of all over the place, emotional highs and lows. And that's what it was. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Should we just stick to the same traditions of, pull your bootstraps up and just go to work and go hustle? Or should we change our culture to where, hey, we start building communities in a different way and start participating with each other? Let me know in the comments below. And if you guys could, like and subscribe to the video, and take a look at my previous video if you could. Thanks, guys.